Hello, this is Owen from Team BNS, and in this video I'm going to talk about some of the joints that can be used on VEX robots. Now, one type of joint that everyone has probably used is called the axle joint, and this is when you have an axle that goes through bearings. You basically have to use bearings because otherwise it's not very good. And you can see here it has a lot of cons. There's a lot of friction of the axles and the bearings and a lot of slop as it can move around. It's also bulky as you must use bearings. So you should only use this type of joint in an application where it is required, like if there is a gear or a motor that the axle must fit inside. And I built a small demo of this, and you can see it's pretty bulky. The spacer doesn't have to be quite that big, but you have to put in shaft collars, which are heavy. But you need to use these on your robot, but they shouldn't be used everywhere. Another type of joint you can use is a screw joint. These other types of joints all use screws. The basic screw joint just has a screw and no bearings. It has the benefit of having low friction, but high amounts of slop. And if this is used, it can damage the metal over time because the screw can eat away at the metal since there's no bearing to support it. And you have to put a small washer in between so there's no metal rubbing on metal. But it can be good if you need a joint in a very small amount of space. Now, what if you need less slop, like in an arm? You want to use bearings. So the double bearing screw joint I've used a lot. It's similar to the axle joint, except you use a screw instead of a bearing, which minimizes slop and makes it stronger. But it still has some friction problems, it still has some slop problems similar to the axle joint. And I've been using this a lot and it works pretty well. But the single bearing screw joint is even better. And this way you attach the screw to one side so that it only pivots in one bearing, and you put a washer in between so there's no metal rubbing on metal, and this seems to have the least amount of slop and the lowest amount of friction of any joint. So I think this is the best joint in VEX that should be used when it can be.